Sabotage. Welcome to Livestream. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday afternoon. It's great to be with you here. Live streaming about FPV and anything else I care to talk about, because as you can see, we got the bingo board up, Livestream bingo. You can generate your own using the pinned link in the Discord or in the live stream. In the YouTube chat. Hang on, I gotta pin it. Pin message. There we go. I pinned it. If you want to play along, there is no prize. There's just I will shout you out and be like, hey, you got a bingo. I'm already at a disadvantage because I did not start 5 minutes late. I do not have an adult beverage. And I'm in a good mood, so I might drop an F-bomb. You don't know. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start off with some questions here. We're gonna go straight into the questions too. You guys ask the questions, Blunny will queue them up. The first question is, I'm trying to add a sound pack to the GX12 from Android. Is it possible, or do I need to use a PC? I mean, theoretically, adding a sound pack to an Edge TX radio is simply copying a folder into the sounds directory. That's all there is to it. So, like, theoretically, you could do that from Android, right? You're just moving a folder. You just take the SD card, and, like, you got to get the SD card onto your phone. If you're talking about doing it with the Edge TX Buddy app, I'm not so sure it can do that. Like, I don't know if it has the drivers that it needs, but maybe it can, because, I mean, ultimately, like, if I plug... What should we just... I mean, could we just try this? Hold on. Okay. So this is a USB OTG adapter. It's a USB OTG adapter is necessary to plug many devices into your phone. So this gets plugged into my phone. So what we need is, we need the GX12 to show up as a removable drive. I'm not going to be able to show you the phone screen very easily. I don't have my top-down camera ready to go. And I'm not going to set it up right now, but I could just tell you if it works. I'm genuinely curious. So I know my phone will read SD cards, right? And theoretically, the radio just presents itself to the device as an SD card. So we plug in here, we choose USB storage, and then what happens on the phone? USB storage added. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. So if I now go to my files, USB storage 1. Oh, look, there it is. That's the device. So, like, I can access the storage on the radio. So then all I would need to do is download the sounds and copy the file over, which you could do. But really the question is, if I go to the Edge TX Buddy website, will the Edge TX Buddy website run and work on mobile? So let's see. I'm going to go to SD card content, select SD card. So I have to be able to select the folder. Radio Master TX. I select the SD card, use this folder, allow Chrome to access folder, yes. Allow the site to view and copy files, allow. Save changes, yes. Okay. And then the web page is dead. The web page is grayed out and will not move. Nothing is happening. So yeah, so I think that's going to be a no. Oh, no, and now it just went back. Okay, so it seems like Edge TX Buddy is a no. That doesn't really surprise me. But if you manually copy the files to the sounds folder, it would work. Like, that's all you really have to do. Cool. I learned something today. Thank you. I kind of thought that would work, but I'd never tried it before, and now I know it will work. Neat. That's it. That's what we do here. Here's a question from Caveman Photo Works. New release, Axis Flying AF2406 modular motor. Let's take a look at that. This is the kind of thing where I can't decide if it's a good idea or just somebody got a little too crazy late at night and thought it was a good idea. So, oh, it's a motor. Who cares? Well, actually, what makes this motor interesting is that the motor comes with a base cap. This is what is installed on the drone. And you can easily replace the motor without redoing the soldering, I think is the thought process. So you can see here, this is just screwed on and clamped down, right? So this top part of the motor just comes off when you remove the screws. And so, like, okay, I have to replace a motor. Here's the thing. Like, again, maybe I'm misunderstanding some part of this. Because a lot of times when something is innovative, I look at it and I go, I think I understand it, and then I misunderstand it. And I'm like, that's dumb, but I didn't actually understand the intended benefit. So my first thought was, well, okay, I chopped the wires. And when I chop the wires, sometimes you chop the wires in a way that it's not easy to splice the wires, and you scrap the whole motor because you chopped the wires. So in theory, if you were to chop the wires in a really annoying way, you could just resolder the wires to this base, and the motor is fine. So that's one sort of failure mode that this fixes. The other thing is that if the motor is damaged, we can very easily replace the motor without resoldering the wires. Okay. But, like, what is this really solving for us? Because if I just get an MR30 connector, I can replace a whole motor, just unplug the connector, plug a new motor in, right? And I don't have some weird proprietary assembly. And you say, okay, well, an MR30 motor is additional solder points. Okay, I guess. It's an additional connector with additional resistance. Does that matter? I think it's questionable whether that actually matters, but it matters some. But then this also has additional connection points. Like these pads right here presumably are the 3 motor phases, and I don't think we can see what that looks like on the motor side. But to me, it seems like this interface is a real potential, like what's on the other side? Is it some kind of spring-loaded contact that's making contact and pass? Like that is just as much a potential location for a loss of current, loss of power as an MR30 connector. I think that's like a complete unknown. And then, of course, the main thing is that when you buy this, you're locking yourself into this motor specifically, or other motors made by Axis Flying, if you want to take advantage of this mechanism. So, yeah, I don't know. Hello. What do they say about the motor on the web page? Here it is. 15-second quick swap. I mean, it's a no soldering quick swap of the motor. But so is an MR30 connector. Blunty, were you going to jump in?
Yeah, can you tell me, scroll back up real quick. So that screw in the middle, is that holding the black piece with all the contacts onto a metal base? Is that what's happening there?
I'm not sure. I do see this screw in the middle. It's not really, like, can we see the underside at all? Like, is that screw presumably this screw right here? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So actually that makes it even a little more, I mean, it's interesting because then you can remove the contact piece and buy a new contact piece too, right? But I don't know why you would want to do all this extra work, but it is, you know, like if you burn out the contacts, the metal plate isn't, you don't need to buy a new plate.
Yeah. I mean, they've broken the mounting of the motor down into several, here we go. Here we go. Upper PCB board, triple wave spring clip. Yeah. Lower PCB board, pure copper shims.
Well, this is not the first time Axis has made something that people are like,
Yeah.
Also not the craziest motor designs we've seen. Some of you might remember the wet sump. What motor is that has the wet sump in it?
With the oil? Oh, I don't remember, but yeah.
You put
oil
into it.
That was an X-Class motor, wasn't it? Maybe it
I think
wasn't.
they went something smaller sizes.
I
But they
do
also
remember
have
that
cryo
motor.
spray that you
It was
buy,
supposed to last forever. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember. So here is, they've got these motors in different sizes. Good, 2207, 2406, 2306, etc. So you're not locked into one particular size. But like, here we go. Complete replacement within 15 seconds, no soldering, easy and fast swap. The argument I'll make back to you is I can do all of this with an MR30 connector. Why is this better? Okay. So, granted, I can't order motors with MR30 connectors on them. Well, some of them come that way. So like but why is this better than that? That's a simpler solution. This does let me fix the wiring. I'll give it that. Like an MR30 connector, if the wires get chopped very close to the motor so I can't solder to them or splice them, then I can't do an easy repair. This does let you do that because I can solder new wires to this base plate and completely restore the motor. Basically, the motor wires are no longer a destruction point. Other than that, it's like, well, we've added all this complexity. This is a $29 motor. I mean, for a premium motor, that's not a ridiculous price for a premium 2406, 2407 motor. So, you know, how much is this complexity adding to the price? I don't know. It depends on how premium the motor is. Like, it's clearly adding some price because the construction of it is non-trivial. So
Also, do you see a way to buy the... Oh, I see. There's a no base cap button at the top. Oh, what?
So we can buy the motors without the base cap, and we can swap the motors in as spares, because presumably the base cap is never damaged.
Right, but the base cap, you still have to pay $26.90 instead of $28.90 for the motor. Like, okay.
No motor base cap.
So literally, the only benefit here...
28. It's $2 for the base cap.
Like, you're paying for modularity. In this case, you want this, and you're going to pay and have extra weight just to do this. That's what they're positing, right?
I don't understand. What is that? How does the pricing tell you that?
Well, I just mean, like, you're not... It's not like you're getting... It's not like the base cap is $5 or $8 or $10 as the cost.
Yeah.
Like, you're still buying a full motor every time. You know
like
what I mean?
I see. No, you're not saving anything by not having to replace the base cap. So the base cap or the PCB by itself is $4, and the motor's $27, and the motor without a base cap $27, and then $29 with the base cap. So you get a little discount if you buy them together. But you're still paying $27 for this motor, which is that's toward the upper end of what you'd pay for motors of these size.
The base cap, just so people know, the base cap is 2.1 grams by itself, and then the motor is 32 grams for this 2406 that we're looking at.
Yeah. So this is cool, but it feels like an overly complex solution to, number one, a problem I'm not sure how many people have. I need to change my motors very fast, and I don't want to solder. Okay, but like, you solder a lot of things in this world. And I'm going to pay a premium for it. Yeah.
I think this is a case of... maybe that's not true. It feels like one of those things where, like, there's, like, enough motor sales and drone sales and stuff that, like, Axis Flying is like, all right, let's try another thing that an engineer cooked up. You know, because we can do a run of them and see if people will buy them. Because you don't do this if you're, like, not selling a lot of product, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you do, but like this isn't for some... Like, who requested this is what I'm asking, right? Like, it's not like, so if you release a product like this, like, it feels like you have some room to wiggle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm glad that someone's doing this, but I'm still going to be a curmudgeon and shit on it. I love this. They burned a motor out. I love this. Destructive testing, baby. We smoked the whole motor, but the PCB survived. I approve. I'll be curious how much loss there is in the contacts compared to like an MR30. Go ahead, Monty.
Well, people in chat are like, "Oh, this is for military and professionals," and I'm like, they can also use an MR30. Like, that doesn't change.
I'm not sure about that, because I had that thought, and it's like, if you think about the military use, a lot of the military use treats the entire drone as consumable. The drone itself, it takes off, it flies away, it goes to the target, and it blows up. So no one is replacing motors. I mean, maybe for a training drone, perhaps. For a training drone where it crashes and you need to get it back into service. But like the stereotypical military mindset is, I'm going to buy this thing, I'm going to break it, and I'm going to throw it away and never look at it again. I'm just going to buy a new one. Like this feels like if you're in a fucking, oh, there it goes, there was the F word. If you're in a trench in Ukraine or a bunker and like you've got a broken motor, you're not going to be like, hold on, 15-second quick swap, I'm ready to go. You're just going to grab another drone and you're going to throw that one aside and fix it later. So I don't know. It's the thing is, I think it's hard to say whether it's for somebody and we're just not thinking of who somebody is, or because sometimes companies just throw shit like at the wall just to see what sticks. And I think this, or just to show that they can innovate, and this might be one of those times. Chat, is this for you as a hobbyist? Would you buy this? Personally, I would be like, that's a lot to pay for a motor. I don't mind soldering. I'm just going to buy regular motors and solder them. Or if I really care, I'm going to use MR30 connectors. I kind of don't like locking myself in like this. Anyway. Final thoughts, Plenty?
Some engineer is excited that their thing got made.
I think so. All right. I had an experience recently. 533, Fly 533, Evan Turner's company, they pioneered maybe a strong word. They certainly popularized the use of MR30 connectors on racing drones. They started selling their pre-builds with MR30s, and they started selling their motors with MR30s pre-installed, which is, like, if you're going to go with motor connectors, you really want to be able to buy at least motors with the connectors pre-installed, because it's a lot more soldering to do connectors on the ESC and connectors on the motors, especially because motors are the thing you're most likely to replace. So, like, if you have to solder a connector on the ESC, so be it, but you really want to be able to swap motors without resoldering. So they started doing all that, and Evan Turner was like, MR30s, yeah, it's the way of the future. And then somebody was bashing MR30s on Facebook. Oh, the additional weight, the additional weight, really? Okay, fine. You can tell. But, okay. The additional power loss, I need this. That's why I'm not winning championships, is the MR30s, sure. And Evan commented, and he was like, yeah, no, I don't use MR30s. I don't like the additional, like, basically he was anti-MR30s. And I commented, I was like, Evan, I'm surprised to hear you say this, because, like, you are the pro MR30 guy. And he's like, yeah, no, not on my racing drones, though. I'm like, okay. There you go. Because until then, I would have been, oh, well, you say MR30s are bad, but no less than Evan Turner supports them. I kind of feel like he betrayed me a little bit. He didn't, just like I thought I knew where he stood. So, yeah, what can you do? Your heroes will always let you down, I guess is what, including me. Get ready for it. All right. Here's a question from the Discord. Any thoughts on the iFlight Nazgul Evoke F5V3? Is it worth it? Yes, the Nazgul has always been an excellent 5-inch bind and fly drone. Now, as iFlight has evolved, the Nazgul has become more and more specialized. By which I don't mean specialized like towards a certain purpose, just that it's gone from being a relatively generic 5-inch freestyle drone to it's got a specialized front end. It's got plastic side plates. It's got LEDs. It's become, and specifically, it's become more tailored to the exact size and layout of iFlight's flight controller and ESC. So when you buy this, you want to realize that you're a little bit buying into iFlight's ecosystem. If you need spares, you're probably going to want to buy the exact spares from iFlight rather than buy something generic, which is, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good stuff. $600 for the 04 version. That's the world we live in. I'm not going to complain about pricing and give people the bingo slot. I didn't do it. Like, if you look at the flight controller, this is a fairly limited flight controller. Do you see? Like, we're not going to go deep into the specs, but do you see it doesn't have a ton of pads and plugs? It's basically made to do just enough that for what iFlight wants. And it does a little more, but it's not like a full-on generic flight controller with just pads for every single thing. It's made for iFlight to put into their bind and flies, not made first and foremost for a hobbyist to do something with. A hobbyist can do something with it. I'm not saying that they can't, but I'm just saying the mindset is this is made for my drone, and if you want to do something with it, you can. If I had to pick something to compare to, it would be the GepRC Vapor X5. The GepRC Vapor X5 compares very favorably in terms of performance, in terms of specs, and you can see the pricing, wow, is significantly better. I'm not sure why that is. That's still the 04 Pro, $400, like, given the choice, like, obviously I would take the GepRC Vapor, $600. Let's pick iFlight ELRS 2.4 gig. What does that bring the price to? $615. Like, I'm not like going deep into the specs, but historically these have been very comparable. That's a significant price difference. And like, I don't think there's any question which one I would take. How does the Vapor stack up against the Mark V? The Mark V is traditionally like a little bit, the Vapor is more budget oriented. The GepRC Mark V, let's see here. So, is that the latest version of the Mark V? Why is it so much? Oh, it's out of stock. It doesn't exist. Hang on. Drones. Is the Mark V still made? Vapor X, Vapor D. They don't actually show the Mark V at all. So the Mark V, I think, is not in production, I would say. So it doesn't matter how it compares. There you go. Would the ERA 5, the It's FPV Era 5, be just as good at cinematic as quads like the Mark V, or is it only good for bando? No, why wouldn't the Era 5 be fine at cinematic? Like, all these 5-inch drones, if you're going to fly them cinematically, like, basically the only thing I can think of that matters is whether props are in view or not. If you're beating the shit out of them, then durability matters, right? If you're flying cinematically, you're not crashing very much. Durability matters less. Theoretically, if you're flying cinematically, you could opt for a lighter weight, the Era 5, because it's designed for durability. I don't have the weights in front of me, but my gut feeling is it would be a little bit heavier. I don't know that for a fact. But you could theoretically choose a lighter frame and therefore go with something that'll give you a little more flight time because it's lighter weight. But ultimately, the Era 5 versus the Mark V versus if you're flying them cinematically, like, they're all basically the same as long as they don't have props in view. So you get the dead cat version, and I don't think there's a significant difference between them. Let's see here. We got some super chats coming in. Hold on, let me update. Let me update the bingo board. Bardwell did drop an F-bomb. Question about frame choices? I think that counts. We were technically asking about bind and flies. I guess we were asking about bind and flies, not frames. I don't know if I'll give myself that one. I try to be scrupulous. Scrupulous here. I also... Question about motor size? Not really. was a question about motors. Okay. Okay, continue. Let's do some super chats. Here's a super chat from @Rayodio. Thank you for 1,000 rupees. I'm a newish pilot with EV800D goggles. What's the best value for money, and will 040 latency affect a beginner? 1. Goggles X plus SpeedyB VRX for $655. Okay. 2. SkyZone 040 Pro plus Walksnail VRX. I see. 3. Goggles X and keep the EV800D. Best combo for analog plus Walksnail. Ha. That's a tough question. Will the 040 latency affect a beginner? I would say that the 040 latency. So Nilsvo did some testing that revealed that the SkyZone 040 goggles have significant latency. Not like jaw-shatteringly bad latency, but more than certainly top pilots would like. I don't remember the exact number. It was in the range of roughly what DJI gives you, or slightly worse. Will that affect a beginner? Here's the thing. No, it won't affect a beginner, because a beginner is doing slow stuff where latency doesn't matter as much. But a beginner doesn't stay a beginner forever, and a beginner starts pushing into faster proximity stuff that requires faster reaction times. I think the problem with latency is that you're not going to know how bad the latency is hurting you. And maybe it's not hurting you at all, okay? But you're not going to know until you try a low latency link. The first time I flew the HD0 goggles with a 90 FPS mode, and like it's 4 milliseconds glass-to-glass latency. It's the lowest latency FPV system I think that you can get, even among analog. And the first time I flew it, I didn't expect to notice much of a difference, and I totally did. I was able to do a power loop, and instead of doing a high power loop and giving myself time to look and line up the gap, I felt much more confident just diving into gaps and knowing I would have the reaction time. And I don't have spectacular reaction time. I'm an older gentleman and not in the prime of my reaction time. So I definitely noticed a difference, which surprised me. But then I go back and I fly the higher latency stuff, and I'm okay. And I think it's a case where you adjust to the latency that you have available to you. You have a sense of what you're capable of getting away with. And you don't try to do things that you know would put you in a bad situation that you wouldn't be able to respond to. And when you fly with the lower latency link, you expand your performance envelope. You find yourself able to do things that you didn't think you could do or you couldn't do. To a certain degree, skill can make up for latency. You'll see very, very good pilots flying DJI and doing impossibly difficult things because their skill level allows them to think far enough ahead and react fast enough to compensate for the higher latency. But you as a beginner may not be able to do that. So, does the latency matter? That's a complicated and nuanced question. There's no question that lower latency helps. It certainly doesn't hurt. But I think there's some debate as to how good of a pilot you're going to be based on your innate skill level and your training relative to how much that latency is going to help you. So, there's the answer to your question, does the latency matter? If you have the choice to choose low latency, you totally should. But just because something has higher latency, especially if you've got something like a digital system, digital systems have higher latency but also have significantly better image quality, which I think in a lot of cases lets you see things sooner. If I'm flying through Scraggle, if I have low latency, I can react to things at the last minute. But if I have higher latency with good image quality, I'm able to see them sooner and get out of the way. And I think that's a difficult thing to quantify. Let's go to your question specifically. Goggles X plus SpeedyB VRX. So the Walksnail goggles with an analog external receiver versus the analog goggles SkyZone with the walk-snail video receiver. And I gotta say, I suspect that as you get in, most people, as they get into digital, they tend to prefer digital because it looks so much nicer, and oftentimes it has better usable range and penetration than analog. That's not a universal statement, but it's often the case that as you get into digital, you tend to lean more into it. Based on that, I would say probably get the walk-snail goggles, because probably you're going to get a better experience if you lean hard into walk-snail with the native walk-snail goggles as opposed to the walk-snail VRX going into the HDMI port on an analog goggles. On top of that, the walk-snail system is already higher latency because it's digital. And so then if you run it into the HDMI port on the goggles, that's going to add additional latency on top of that, whereas the walk-snail Goggles X will give you the lowest latency possible for the walk-snail system. So I would say of your choices, buy the walk-snail Goggles X, keep the EV800D, and if you find that you fly a lot of analog 6 months after you get the walk-snail goggles, then consider picking up the SpeedyB module for the walk-snail goggles. They're not spectacular as analog goggles, but they do work. And you'll have like the best of both worlds. All right. A very detailed answer, but for 1,000 rupees. Here's a $5 super chat from Dean Kaisler. My Radio Master Pocket won't load the ELRS Lua script and the internal module is flashing red and I can't flash it through serial or EdgeTX pass-through. The internal module... There's a tiny fruit fly in here. Just flew in front of my face. Guess what that means? Oh, I know it's here. Where is it? Bardwell encounters a real-life insect. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Oops. Oh, you know what that means? Bardwell forgets to change screen. I'm going to give myself that one. It's not, didn't technically forget. But I'm going to give myself that one too. Back to the question. I don't know what the internal module flashing red means. I don't. That's a like. I'm stumped, man. I'm stumped. Like, if it won't load the ELRS Lua, that could be as simple as. Are you sure you have an Express LRS module? How does the internal module flash red? Where is it flashing red? I guess my first question would be, are you sure you bought an Express LRS radio and not a CC2500 or 4-in-1 radio? Like, that, you not having an Express LRS radio at all would certainly answer the question of why you can't flash it. It's very common. If you have used Express LRS before on it and now it's screwed up, that's one thing. But if you just bought it and you're trying to flash it, a lot of times people accidentally buy the wrong radio. It doesn't have Express LRS in it. Dean says, on my other Radio Master Pocket, the internal module is solid red.
Where is it red?
Yeah, where?
Like, did you open it? Is there an LED inside of it? Is it the main LED of the pocket?
I don't seem to have a pocket here. I swear that I used to. In here? No. Okay. I must have given it away or sold it or something like that. He says it's brand new, but it's ELRS 2.4 gigahertz. Are you sure about that? Are you sure it's ELRS 2.4 gigahertz? Why are you sure about that? See what I mean?
It is.
Oh, it's see-through, and there is a light on the bottom of the module? What's that, Blinty?
On the back of the radio at the top. Oh, no, never mind. They print the stupid sticker that says both. I don't know why they do that.
So the only way I know for sure is you go into the hardware page and you change it from from Crossfire to 4-in-1. And if you do that, and then in the model settings you actually get telemetry from the module, that confirms that it is a 4-in-1. Like, the ELRS Lua script won't load, which means could mean it's not ELRS. If you change the hardware screen from Crossfire to 4-in-1, and then you get telemetry from the module that confirms it's a 4-in-1. So, like, until presented with other evidence, my first argument would be that it's not an ELRS module. He says he's taken it apart. It shows it in the menu when you turn it on. I mean, the menu can show a lot of things. But if you've taken the radio apart and physically seen that the module is ELRS, then that takes it away. It's not that.
You said
Yeah.
you had another pocket, so I'm sure this is not the case, but the top is the data USB port and the bottom is the Type-C port for charging. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, good point. But the ELRS script won't load. Like, the only thing I can think of is, number one, set the internal module in the hardware screen to Crossfire. Then in the radio in the module settings, in the model settings, set internal module to Crossfire. And at that point, like, if it doesn't load, I don't know. And if it doesn't flash, I don't know. Like, at that point, it's just a hardware thing. I mean, I'm not sure what troubleshooting you can do past that point. Like, are there pads on the inside of the module that you could access without going through pass-through and try to flash it? Yeah, the script loads forever. That's consistent with the module not responding. I've got nothing. Like, the only way to access the module is through pass-through. Well, I would assume the module has separate programming pads that can be accessed, but I'm not sure how you would do that. I mean, people are asking, oh, could the internal module be off? I mean, number one, I think it doesn't seem like he's done that. But I'm going to assume you've got the settings correct, especially because you have a second radio that you've got working. But assuming the settings are correct and you can't flash it, I don't know how you would get it back.
Somebody points out, like, if it's the wrong Lua script, would this be an issue, like a really old Lua or something? I'm not sure what the symptom of that is.
Captain Bry has a good one. Make sure that the USB VCP setting is set to CLI. Again, I don't know how you would have done this, but that's a great one, Captain Bry. I didn't think of that. So in the hardware screen, so long press the sys key, radio settings, hardware, scroll down, there's a setting for USB VCP. And if you change that to something other than CLI, then pass-through doesn't work. Yep, that's a good one. That would break it. Yeah, you always have to remember that the user might have changed options, and think of those options. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he said he kept getting telemetry lost, or sensor lost. It just kept saying sensor lost. And I tried all kinds of things to fix it for him, and then it turned out he had set his telemetry ratio to 1/128, which is way too low. And I was like, oh, there's your problem. I don't know why I just didn't think to check it because nobody ever does that. Nick asks, why not just flash through SD? Can you flash the ExpressLRS module through SD card, or only through pass-through? I've never done that. I wouldn't think that you could. All right. I'm sorry we couldn't offer you more help, Dean. I don't have a lot to offer based on the information available. How do I get to it? How do you get to what? There's no built-in flashing capability in EdgeTX. Yeah, it can't flash the module, only through pass-through. What does it say when you try to go through pass-through? Like, what error message do you get when you try to flash via pass-through? It'll say starting stub, and then what does it say? All right. We're going to move on. Question about goggles I did get. Good point. All right. Thank you for $10 from Divad, who asks, I'm fully hooked now after getting an Air 65. I need more oomph for backyard park freestyle. Looking at the Air 75. I can solder. I also have HC0 and DJI G3 goggles. Big thanks. If you want more oomph for backyard freestyle, I would steer you towards something like my good old favorite, the Flywoof Flylens 85, or an open prop like the Firefly 2.0. Especially because they come with DJI. If you want to go that direction, you have the DJI goggles. You're probably going to enjoy it. For a backyard ripper, getting away from the closed prop designs to something a little more acrobatic is fantastic. The Firefly 2.0 or the Firefly 2.5. I prefer the 2.5. It's got a little more power and a little more agility, but it's just your question of how much size versus power and speed you want. These things are fantastic. Now, maybe that's more of a step up than you wanted, right? But that's like, if you say backyard ripper and a little more power, I think the step from a 65 to a 75, it's there, but it's not maybe as massive as you might want. For me, if I'm like going to take a step up, I definitely want to I want to notice. Yeah. So that's where I would send you. We answered this question. Apparently it was a super chat, but thank you, Funky Goat. Is the ERA 5 good for Cinematic 2 or only Bando? Yes, plenty.
Can you take the last super chat next?
The last super chat. This one. The Crazy Canuck?
Yeah,
oh,
they gave us $100.
$100. Jeez, thank you. That's very generous. Thank you, Crazy Canuck. Right to the top of the list. I got into the hobby 4 months ago, and I am hooked. I learned to fly and built my third quad with the help of your videos. Thank you for all your great content and the work you do for the community. Thank you so much. And thank you for the very generous donation. The GOAT move, he says, is to join JB's Discord for a couple dollars and utilize the assistance of hundreds of like-minded FPV pilots and builders. Aw, a little plug for the Discord, too. Thank you so much. Oh, hey! And Shrey points out that you interrupted me. You legitimately interrupted me. You almost never do that. No, not Bardwell interrupts Plenty. Plenty interrupts Bardwell. Oh, I'm so close. I'm almost to a bingo. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. It's only 45 minutes into the stream, and I'm one away from a bingo. If only someone could entice me to talk about how FPV was in the older days. Ah, well, it'll probably never happen. Here's a 50, I don't know what currency that is. Peruvian? I can't remember. Thank you, Lands FPS, who says, appreciate you replying, sir. Did I reply? That's the only comment from him in the whole chat log, too. So, I don't remember. I wish I did, but I don't. And thank you for your donation. Please feel free to comment, and remind us what your question is, so I can get it. Thank you, Oxtail Gravy. Oxtail Gravy. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Respect for all you do. What are your views on toothpicks in 2026 with the improvement in lighter digital VTX? Still relevant? Hey, toothpicks are always going to be relevant. A nice open prop 3-inch, lightweight, around 100 grams, I think is the sweet spot. Those things are a blast. With digital, digital adds a little bit of weight. They don't have quite the agility that you would expect. And the durability definitely goes down. So, you could still very, very much, 3 inches, is plenty of prop to handle the weight of a digital VTX and a digital camera. Even the lighter digital VTXs still like add a little bit compared to analog, but not that much. I think the main compromise is you get less durability. Like, I think they tend to be less durable than analog, and they're certainly more expensive to replace. But yeah, 100% still relevant and a great place to be. In fact, I just bought a little toothpick. It's analog, but that toothpick that we saw on stream a little last stream, I actually bought it. I don't even remember what it is. It's going to come in the mail. I'm going to be like, why did I buy this? Because I wanted to make a video about it. I haven't flown a toothpick in a little while. Peace FPV, thank you for €2. Can I swap a single 3800 kV 1507 on a 4200 kV quad? Yes, you can, and it will fly. But the quad will act like all of the motors are 3800 kV. So just real quick, do the math. 3800 out of 4200, you're going to be, that's only 90%. So you're going to have basically 10% less RPMs. That's not exactly 10% less thrust, but we could like estimate it roughly at 10% less thrust. But the whole thing will fly. It'll be okay. It's not great practice, but it will work. Thank you, Devad, for another $2, who says, thank you, and I love your content. Oh, I love your super chat, so. And Exiled FPV, I'm not sure we got you. Thank you for a donation, $2. Did Exiled have a question? Nope, just a super chat. Great. Thank you so much. What's your opinion on the Oxbot radio? Let's look at that. The Oxbot Radio R1. Oxbot R1. Is this the one that Bachgrinder reviewed recently? He just reviewed something like this. No, it's the Hello Sky V12. I thought it wasn't. I wasn't sure, but I'm glad I checked. So I'm basically just going to look at it. $126. That's our starting point. That's a solid starting point. There's a little on the lower end of what you see some radios. A lot of radios nowadays are coming in at the 150, 160 for like a solid mid-range controller. Down closer to the 90 to 130 range, I think, is more in the budget line. And then you've got the absolute bare bones, like $60, $70, like the Pocket.
Chat wants you to know that Nick Burns has a review.
Well, I'm going to form my own opinions, but then we'll go poach his content. Gamepad style layout. Some people will like that. Some people won't. You'll know, but you know that going in. 1, 2, 3, and 2 switches on the back. It doesn't look like they have any potentiometer knobs. That'll be a deal breaker for some. We've got 2 trim switches. The upgrade via the Oxbot app, I do not like. I don't know what the Oxbot app is, but I would want it to run EdgeTX, and I would want to upgrade it via standard EdgeTX procedures. If it runs proprietary firmware and not EdgeTX, immediately I'm out.
Correct. That is what it is.
And yeah, looking at this screen, I mean, sometimes that's a Lua script. So it runs proprietary firmware, not EdgeTX. That's just a deal breaker for me. I'm just locking myself into some proprietary ecosystem. All of the tutorials won't apply to me because no one's making tutorials specifically for this radio. Okay, maybe one guy is. But the point is that everybody else who's making content is making content on EdgeTX. All the development work is going into EdgeTX. When the ExpressLRS devs, like the ExpressLRS devs just made a new feature in ExpressLRS where you can arm and disarm and have that not be on channel 5. Okay. Now, why was it that? It doesn't matter. That's not the point of this conversation. The ExpressLRS devs released a new feature, and in order to support that feature, the EdgeTX devs had to change their interface to support it. That kind of collusion is happening between the EdgeTX and the ExpressLRS project because they work together. They're leaders in this field. So you got this radio with oddball firmware. Are they working with the ExpressLRS devs? Maybe. I don't know. But like, is Oxbot going to continue to support this firmware 5 years from now? I don't know. Does it have all the features I want? I don't know. I'm going to stick with a known quantity. I'm not going to pay. You'd have to give me way bigger of a discount to gamble on some unknown software. Does the Oxbot firmware do what I want it to do? I have no idea what it does or doesn't do. So it's a huge gamble. And I don't know why you would make that gamble as a user. Because there are so many amazing options that run standard firmware, EdgeTX. All new user interface, more intuitive control. I don't want that. I don't know why you would cripple your product like this. Supports ELRS. Does it run the ELRS Lua script? Does it? I don't know. Or does it run some proprietary Oxbot script that emulates the Lua script, but then when the ExpressLRS devs, like right now, ExpressLRS released a new product. It's the binding Lua script where you can change your bind phrase from the radio. I have a video on it. It's coming out soon. Amazing. Does it support that? Does it run Lua scripts? No idea. So, like, for all the cool things this might do, the uncertainty about what standard things it doesn't do, and the uncertainty about future support really gives me pause. And I wouldn't get it. There you go. I mean, there you go. Yeah, anybody who wants to make a new radio, it has to run EdgeTX for me to give it a second look. Unless it is just spectacular in some way that is so compelling. That's just where my head is at.
Can I pick one real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, on the screen.
What? Where?
Oh, I just put it up for you on your...
Oh. Beta FPV is now selling beta text of Next Radio gimbals. Would like to know what you think of them. Oh, okay. Am I going to hate them plenty?
Links in the Discord.
Well...
I don't know. I think we just should at least talk about them. Let people know what they are.
What do we got here? I've never heard of these. This is completely new to me. The Next Radio gimbals, $32.
This is a preview price
sensor.
because they want people to beta test them. They're a drop-in replacement for TX15, TX16, and Boxer right now.
Okay, well, digital capacitive sensor. Is that better than a Hall effect sensor?
So, I don't know, but you know what you do when you don't know these days.
I've not switched screens. Sorry, I'm really having a hard time switching screens today.
You know what you do when you don't know these days. You ask Google, and then nobody explains it, so you ask AI. AI claims that the issues are like dust and conductive material and humidity and condensation can actually affect capacitive sensors.
Wait, Hall effect sensors?
No, capacitive sensors.
Oh, so capacitive sensors are worse.
In some case. They basically say they're better at temperature drift resistance, which is the claim that Next Radio makes, and that real-world Hall gimbals are susceptible to RF, which I've never
noticed that. What do I know?
Technically, maybe that's true, but the other thing they're saying is like basically capacitive is contactless, right? So you're not actually touching.
Well, Hall effect is contactless.
Right. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just testing them, but at least they, you know.
I like that it's got a digital communication interface that removes some opportunity for problems.
The question I would have is why. Like, what's the actual issue? Like, you know, like they say they're anti-interference. It's like, well, I've never had that issue before. So
I've
it's
never
like,
had it. Yeah, I've literally, like, the whole time you're flying the drone, if your gimbal sensor was doing something weird, you absolutely would notice. You would feel the drone pulling or moving in an uncommanded way. You would get some twitching or some, like, if there's any meaningful interference, you would notice it, right? It's not like some buried voltage bus somewhere where it changes and you have to look in the black box log to tell. The gimbals are the thing you interact with most directly and continuously while flying the drone. When you have a potentiometer gimbal and it's not recentering, you notice because the drone is going and you calibrate and now it's going like you notice. Like, so this idea that we're solving a problem because Hall effect sensors are susceptible to interference. Damn it. Got a bug. I don't see it. Right? So, yeah. Centering accuracy, excellent. Like, I don't know. The Hall effect sensors have worse centering accuracy. Like, I calibrate the gimbal and it centers at 1500. What more do you want? How much more accurate does it need to be? Linearity performance.
They also list 13-bit, which we're not using like we're not even using 12-bit. You know, CRSF is 11-bit. So.
Right. So if Crossfire is, like, theoretically, the mixer would have an additional bit. What does HTX use? Does it also use 11-bit?
Yes, it's converted to 11-bit in the software, as far as I know.
I don't know where. I don't think I'm going to be able to find this. 3D signal with 4 channels output, 16 bits precision each. Yeah. What is the internal calculations of the mixer done? You know, how many bits? Is it? I'm going to ask Claude. Is this a Sonic question, Blunty, or an Opus question?
Opus, always Opus. I never use Sonic.
Well, sometimes you want to save a little. Sometimes you're just like, you know, what should I put in my soup? I had a great AI save yesterday. I made some chicken. I roasted some chicken, and I had a bunch of delicious chicken drippings. And I felt ashamed to waste. It was a lemon pepper chicken, so like I knew the drippings were full of flavor. So I decided to make a gravy. I know how to make a gravy. I made a roux, and I poured the stuff in, and it all formed a delicious gravy. And then I poured a little bit of milk in, and it split because the milk was cold. And I was like, fuck, I ruined it. And so I asked AI how to fix it, and AI said, warm some milk up and drizzle in the warm milk while stirring vigorously, and it'll restore the emulsion. And it totally worked, and I was thrilled. And I would have thought once a gravy splits, it's ruined forever. Apparently not. I was very happy. 11 bits at the mixer level. So there's really
actually 12. It's 12 bits. Captain Bryce said in chat it's 12 bits plus 1.
But 11 at the mixer?
Nope, 12.
Or is AI just wrong?
I think AI is wrong there. Because the mixer would be, where else is it going to be, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, it could read 12 bits off the gimbal and then reduce that to 11 bits in the mixer or something.
Oh, Bryce says the internal representation, he said I was misremembering, the internal representation of a channel output is negative 1536 to 1536, so it's 3000. So that's like 11.5 bit or something.
Well, that's what it says here. Mixer intermediates are computed at higher width to avoid rounding loss. Channel outputs can go up to 1536. The underlying step size stays tied to resx. Calibrated analog values are scaled to plus or minus resx, which is 1024. So the stick inputs come into the mixer at 2048 steps equals 11 bits. But the intermediate calculations are done at higher width to avoid rounding loss, but and then the channel outputs go up to 1536 or 150%. But it seems like the gimbals are read at 11 bits. That's the takeaway. So if the gimbals are read at 11 bits, I don't think there's really any point in having a 12 or 13-bit gimbal, which is, I mean, it's nice to have extra precision, I suppose, but it's not actually having any practical effect. Yeah.
Also, as pointed out, ExpressLRS is 10 bits. So,
wow. So ExpressLRS is worse than Crossfire. Finally, the truth comes out.
Wait, is Crossfire 12 bits?
Thought you said ELRS was 10. I thought you said Crossfire was 11.
No, CRSF, the protocol of the radio.
Oh. Okay. So CRSF is 11, but the over-the-air protocol is 10?
I think it's like EdgeTX and CRSF for the 11 piece, and then there's a 10 over-the-air for ExpressLRS, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
All right. It doesn't matter. These gimbals, I don't know. Like, why would I replace my Radio Master gimbals with this new gimbal? The capacitive sensor, okay, it doesn't look like it's a full metal gimbal. It looks like it's plastic. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, but what's my motivation here? I know that the Radio Master AG01, AG02 are spectacular gimbals. Like, maybe if I had the Radio Master Hall Effect gimbal, I would upgrade to this and get a slightly higher quality gimbal for a cheap price. But it feels like the whole, we have a capacitive sensor thing is a little bit of marketing BS. I'm not convinced that the capacitive sensor is better than Hall Effect, and I'm not convinced that the additional resolution is actually practically useful. And so what it comes down to is who makes a better gimbal, Beta FPV or Radio Master? And if I have to pick between one of those two, obviously it's Radio Master. Radio Master has been making fantastic quality high-end gimbals, the AG01s and the AG02s, for years. Beta FPV makes lower-end hardware. They just do. It's good, but it's not like high-end. Like, what's the best radio? The light radio? So, kudos to them for reaching, and kudos to them for putting it out. Hey, this gimbal might well be worth $32, and it might be better than the stock Hall Effect gimbal that's in your Radio Master now. So if you're looking for an upgrade and you're thinking about you're going to buy a new gimbal for your Boxer or whatever, and you have the standard Hall Effect gimbal in it, and you're hesitant to spend a lot of money on the AG01s or the AG02s, maybe this is a better choice, especially at $32. But if you've already, if you had to pick and you had the money, I think the AG01s and AG02s are probably better. Okay. Dan and FPV, thank you for £5. Weren't you liking this Firefly 2.0 Pro a little more when it comes to freestyle? I just bought this one after your review. Liking it compared to what? What was I liking it compared to, Dana? I don't remember my own reviews. That's why I make videos. This because I forget things. I just check my own reviews. I like the Firefly 2.0 Pro. I compared it to the 2.5. Did I like the 2.0 better in the review? I thought I liked the bigger one better. Dan and FPV, clarify your question. We'll come back to you. Cluffy OD, thank you for $30.99 Australian dollars. When is your 8 or 10 drone video coming? I don't know what video you're referring to. Blunty, do you know what he's referring to?
I think one time you said you were going to do a video where you controlling 8 or 10 drones at a time, maybe? I feel like there was some content we had on stream that was like that, but maybe I'm confused.
I don't remember saying I was going to. I don't know how I would do that.
Okay.
So.
Oh, maybe he means like 8 or 10 inch drone?
Yeah. Oh, did I buy the... Oh, yeah. Okay. We looked at the Secure 10-inch drone on stream. Secure is sending me that drone, but it hasn't come yet. I will say that I am working on a review of this 7-inch build kit from AliExpress. Hold on a second. Let me pull that up. I have to sign in. Hold on. It's always fun to see the products that they promote to you on AliExpress when you first bring up the page. No, I'm not going to show you. I have a video. Oh my God, $97. Well, that's not the whole package.
Oh, no.
You don't know. Why would you say that, Blunty?
Because isn't this the frame that everybody says don't buy?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure, right?
Where is
Chrome?
it? I have it right here. Where is it? Here it is. I gotta say, now, hang on. Don't go out and buy this until you see the whole video. Okay? Just based on this live stream, don't go out and buy this. Okay? I gotta say, I gotta pick the right package. There's too many packages. It's what you get with each one. And I spent 100. Where's my orders? Hang on. Orders. I bought package K. Okay, let's look at the pricing for package K. It may have changed, by the way. Package C, D, E, F, A, B. Where's package K? There is no package K. Damn it, AliExpress. You make it hard. Package K. There we go. $123. And if you look, right? I spent $123. Total $135 with shipping. I did not pay any tariff on this. Okay? And I built it. You can't see it. There it is. Is this the frame Crom said was garbage? I have to say...
He said V1 apparently was the problem, and he has not tried V2.
At first glance, this frame is not garbage. Now, I haven't gotten to fly it yet. I'll tell you why soon.
I think the issue was tuning.
It's like 6 millimeter arms, 3 millimeter bottom plate. I guess 2.5 millimeter top plate. I don't know why the standoffs are so long. The standoffs should be, significantly shorter. The whole thing would fly better, I'm sure. But it is what it is. Motors are, what are they? 2807, 1300 kV. Like, the whole thing is not obviously a piece of shit. My main complaint, it comes with a terrible battery strap. Throw it away. Use your own battery strap. Not a big deal. Doesn't come with a receiver. Makes sense. But that $123 price, you add $20 for a receiver, whatever you're going to pay. And it comes with a crappy little antenna. So you would probably upgrade that antenna, although I'm not going to.
So
built it?
The issue with the V1 was tuning, because the arms were really wobbly. So.
I don't see how that's going to be the case here, although, again, I haven't flown it yet for reasons which I will share in a minute. The arms connect. They don't have, like, a central connector here. They come together, and there's 3 screws. But, like, they're not loose to the touch, and they're fairly thick carbon. I wouldn't expect this to have tuning problems, but I don't know, because I haven't flown it. Why haven't I flown it? The flight controller is an Omnibus F4 SD. Hey, there's a blast from the past. Kids, remember the Omnibus F4? Blunty, help me out with this. I think that the Omnibus F4 flight controller was the first flight controller to do something. I think it was the first flight controller with an onboard SD card. In the vague annals of my memory, I remember somebody telling, "Oh, Omnibus F4," and and I think it was the first one with an onboard SD card.
Isn't it OSD? Wasn't it OSD?
Yeah. So here's the thing: I was going to say it's either that or OSD, or it was the first flight controller with a built-in OSD chip.
I think it was the first SPI OSD, like the first built-in OSD, but I could be wrong.
Well, if both of us vaguely remember it being OSD, that's what I'm going to go with. Fine. The Omnibus F4. Hang on a second. All right, we'll come back to that. So a lot of flight controllers were made with the Omnibus F4 target, even if they weren't made by whoever made that flight controller. And to this day, apparently, we're still getting flight controllers with that target. Now, here's the interesting thing. It is what is the name of the company? Oh, I have it in my cart. Here's the flight controller. $22 for the flight controller alone. Holy crap. How good could it be for $22? Well, funny you ask. I got all the way through the setup. Smoke checked it, Betaflight setup, motors, VTX, plugged in the battery multiple times. And then when I went to fly it the first time, I plugged the battery in and the voltage regulator on the flight controller smoked immediately. So for $22, I guess that's what you get. And I thought, well, am I going to just scrap the whole video here? No! I'm buying 2 more flight controllers to see if they also smoke or if I can get this damn thing to fly. But, okay. That's why I haven't put the review out yet. And I actually messaged the, let's see if he's messaged me back. Where's the messaging on this app? My account. Message center. Where is it? No, where is... Okay, that didn't go anywhere. I'm going to see if this guy's willing to send me a new flight controller. By the way, notice I don't like immediately name drop or anything. I just see how they're going to treat me. I mean, they could always look me up, but oftentimes they don't. So that's a dead end. So I guess I may as well just put in this order. Sad. Sad. I hate paying my own money. No. Where's my business account? Oh. Wrong. There we go. My business card. Alright, so I'm going to buy 2 more flight controllers and see if they also smoke or if I can get this damn thing to fly. But yeah. So the review of the 10-inch will come as soon as Secure delivers it to me. And, Blenty, the Airbot Omnibus F3 is generally credited as the first. So it's the Omnibus F3, not the Omnibus F4.
The Omnibus F3 does... Oh, the Omnibus F3, not the SP Racing F3.
No, the Omnibus F3.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And it reused it as Omnibus F4. Yep. Onboard OSD became standard. Yep. I knew I remembered that. I thought it was OSD, but then I thought OSD... Okay. I don't know. I just talked myself into it being the SD card reader.
To be fair, the Omnibus F3 existed for 2 months before the F4 came out.
Interesting.
Easy to forget.
Oh, that was the first one with SD card reader for black box. I'm curious about that one too. Well, they just said that the Betaflight F3 from FPV model had a SD card reader, so maybe it's going to be that one. No, it's not the F3 Deluxe. That was a long.
Yeah,
that
just
was
to be
way
clear,
later.
the SP Racing F3 did not have OSD on board, but the Omnibus F3 did have OSD on board.
It doesn't surprise me that Dominic Clifton did this first, and then nobody actually bought his flight controller, and it never became popular. Ace went down. Oh man. Naze 32 Full had a data flash chip for black box logging. I wouldn't have guessed that it came that soon, that early. Wow, that was way before I would not have realized it was that early. And then, if the first board marketed as a Betaflight board was the Betaflight F3 in 2016. All right. What a time! What a time to be alive. Okay. Yaros, thank you for being a patron, and thank you for being in the Discord server, Yaros. Oh, hang on. Hold on that. Hold on. Most importantly, I don't feel like our discussion about the flight controllers counts as discussing FPV in the older days. Does it, Blunty?
No.
Damn. So close.
I don't think it does.
Is close.
It's on the edge of it, but it's not really what the spirit. My spirit of adding the square was not.
I agree. I tried. I did show my address on the AliExpress page. Doesn't matter. I don't really care if people know my address. I trust you guys.
That's why it's there.
Yeah. It happens. I mean, people freak out. Oh, I got another. Wow! This is the best possible bingo layout for me. I'm still not going to get bingo. But my God, it's my day. We had a question about Express LRS for sure. I didn't talk about prices being high.
Oh,
I appreciated that they were low. Yeah.
Question about radios. We did that.
Oh, for sure. Digital versus analog discussion, that earlier discussion about walk snail and analog. I think we touched on digital versus analog. I would give myself that one. Okay. This is the most important part of the live stream, obviously. Okay, let me re-click this question, Blunty, see your little script updates. Euros! Would love to hear your thoughts on the Betaflight board alignment wizard. I've recently built it. It's available in Betaflight's master branch, backwards compatible with down to 4.5. I don't know what that is, but let's check it out. So, master.app.betaflight.com. Going to master.app.betaflight.com will always take you to the latest build of Betaflight Configurator. I'm just going to plug a flight controller in here. Let's see if it happens to be flashed to Betaflight or not. Random flight controller I have here. Let's find out. Yep, it is. Okay, great. Where's the board alignment wizard? Where is it? Maybe configuration? Sensors?
Sensors tab, yes.
Auto detect board alignment. It's grayed out. Why is it grayed out? Oh, I got to accelerate. Okay, got to calibrate the accelerometer. Fine. Calibrate. Okay, here we go. All right, now I'm going to put this in a weird alignment, like upside down and... Okay, so here's the correct alignment. Let me fix the... Where's the calibrate? Where's the z-axis? How do I reset the z-axis? Where'd that go? Blunty.
Top right, where it always is.
It's not... Oh, there it is. Thank you. Just didn't see it. I got freaked out a little bit. Okay, so hang on. This is forward. Okay, yeah, forward. Okay, this is the correct alignment. Now I'm going to assume that I put this in my drone and I flipped it upside down and I turned it 90 degrees. Oh, let's make it real hard. Let's make it 45. Okay, upside down and 45 degrees. Okay, so that it's all fucked up. Here we go. Auto detect board alignment. Place the drone on a flat surface, the camera facing away from each other, follows. Okay. Okay. Done. Tilt the nose up by about 45 degrees. Done. Return to level. Tilt the right side down by 45 degrees. Done. Return to level. Rotate the drone about 45 degrees clockwise. Done. No shit. Okay, let's see if it fixes it. And, oh, resetting. Connect. Connect. And let's see. It's correct! Ho ho ho! I gotta tell you, that's pretty good. I'm gonna make a video about that. Is that it? Is that in master? Is that going in? I gotta tell you, the 45-degree orientations always mess me up. I don't know why, but they do. I have a hard time, especially if it's flipped or something, because like it can be hard to tell as you're tilting it if it's like correct. And just because the board is rotated 45 degrees, sometimes the gyro isn't. It's really confusing. I love that. That's awesome. We needed that for a decade now. Why is that just only now existed? Thank you. That's so good. I love it. I'm going to make a video about that immediately. Raceflight did this 5 years ago. Raceflight did it first. Immersion RC did it first with the Vortex. Everyone did everything first. Just calm down.
Definitely looking forward to that, because then we don't have to explain to people how to figure out what their board direction is.
That was fantastic. That's so good. Oh!
Have you done?
Oh! Look, I'm one square away on three. Oh! Go ahead, Blunty.
Have you done that thing where, like, okay, put your hand out, so the camera can see it. Put your hand flat out in front of you, the other way, like flat out, like that. Okay, great. Now, without rotating your wrist in any, don't use your wrist. I want you to rotate your hand. How would you do that if you don't have your wrist?
Like that?
No.
I haven't moved my wrist.
Use your elbow. How would you use your elbow?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of this. Like that?
Yeah. Yes, but what I'm pointing out is like, yeah, so if you come up and down, like you can rotate without rotating the actual plane of your hand, right? And
I haven't rotated my ulna and my radius. Well, I guess I technically have. I have. Like you can't like if you look at my ulna and my radius, I have rotated them. I've just rotated them like I pulled my elbow up first and then rotated them.
Right, but I'm saying you don't like you don't have to tilt your actual hand to do that. You can move the plane in space, and that's the same way you have to think about in a flight controller when you rotate a flight controller. Is my point. And that's not intuitive for people to think about. Like it takes a second to understand that I can rotate this plane without actually moving. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. It always confused me because with rotations in space, order matters. I'm pretty sure order matters. So, like what order are they applied?
Which order you do the translations in?
Yeah, because I had to think about this once, but if you rotate and then rotate, you get a different result sometimes than if you change the order of the rotations. And it really confused me because you would think, like in 2 dimensions, if I make a left turn, a right turn, and a left turn, I get to the same place. Right turn, left turn, right. I don't know. It's confusing. You would think intuitively that rotations in 3D space were commutative, I believe is the term we're looking for. That it doesn't matter what order you do them. If I do a 180-degree roll, 180-degree flip, and 180-degree yaw, I end up facing the same direction as if I do those things in any order. And it's not true. It isn't true. Which really threw me off once upon a time as I was trying to figure out a problem. Order matters, says Crom. That's why Euler angles aren't enough. Why we use quaternions in video game development. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was a time when I really thought that they must be commutative. Is it commutative? Associative, distributive. Yeah, it's commutative.
Yeah, this is something that Quick Flash was arguing about like 4 or 5 years ago, because angle mode used to be Euler, and I don't know if angle is still Euler, but he always argued and made emuflate. Well, yeah, he made emuflate as quaternion.
Mm-hmm. And then he used quaternions to win Terrence Howard's prize. So, good for him. It's a big chunk of money. Here's a question from Danny Drone. Thank you for 100 ARS. Best Cinewhoop for work, internal, external events, concerts, real estate in the 2 to 2.5 inch range. What do you think between the Pavo 2.0 Pro or the Fly Lens or the Fly Times? I think the Fly Lens is very good. The Fly Times, I'm not convinced that its compromise in durability makes up for its lightweight. If you were confident you weren't going to crash, you could go with the Fly Times. I'm a big fan of the Fly Lens 85 if that's in the size class, and assuming you don't need to carry a camera, like if you're going to use the onboard 04 Pro. The Pavo 2.0 isn't bad, but I'm partial to the Flywoo. I think they're a little better build. Would you recommend the TX15 Max or the Boxer Crush? So I would take the TX15 over the Boxer most times. It's just a newer radio. It has more capabilities. The TX15 Max, let's look up the Boxer Crush. The main reason to go with the Boxer would be if you prefer its form factor, its ergonomics. It's a little larger, a little squarer, a little less rounded. Let's just double check the specs. Specs. Let's see here. 2.4 or 900. So the TX15 is dual band, whereas the Boxer is single band. That may not matter to you if you only ever fly 2.4 gigahertz. It is nice to have the option. AGO 1 versus the AGO 2. They're different, but they're both very good. Price-wise, $219, $189. Pretty close in price. Larger color screen on the TX15, smaller black and white screen on the Boxer. Some people may prefer the black and white screen, I suppose. Folding antenna on the TX15 would be my preference. I actually replaced my Boxer antenna with a 3D printed folding antenna because I found that this got broke a lot. I didn't want to be screwing and unscrewing it all the time. I wish my GX12 had a better folding antenna. But, you know, what are you going to do? I'm thinking about options. Yeah, I probably would take the TX15. The TX15 also has the programmable 6-way buttons, whereas the Crush does not. I probably would take the TX15, especially as it's $30 more, which isn't that much. If you don't need the 900 megahertz, I could see somebody picking the Boxer. If you don't care about the color screen, I could see somebody picking the Boxer. I also think I like the ergonomics of the TX15 better, the more curved shell. Other than that, they're very comparable. Have you seen Nick Burns' video from today? Nope. But I will now.
It's basically just 3 minutes of him saying, hey, I can't tell you anything, but there's a new whoop coming and you should wait to buy a whoop.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about that. I mean, good for him. Wait, what's the... I hope it's really good.
There'll be no answers in the comments question. And so I won't end with the typical outro thingy. Save your money. That is all. Hello, everyone. I am not...
So something is coming that's so good that you'll wish you hadn't bought today. When is the new one coming?
He has no idea.
Oh. Okay. Well, I certainly don't know anything, and if I did, I wouldn't be able to spill the beans either. But cool, I guess. You guys can see what I've been watching. Anyway. You know what I've been watching, Blunty? Hang on, little side trip.
Other than watch videos?
Yes, other than watch videos. I just found this genre. So do you know how Drumeo has the videos where they play a drummer a drumless track, and the drummer has to come up with a drum track on their own for the song? Have you seen any of those?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's fantastic. I love it. And usually it's in a completely different genre, so and you really get to watch their creative process. That's very cool. I really enjoy those. I've just discovered. I'm not going to play any of this because I assume that the music will get copy struck. They've got another series that I didn't know existed, and it's been going on for a long time. I'm so glad I found it, where they take a band and they play them a song, and they have to cover the song in their own style, and they have to do it all in one session. And again, you get to see their creative process, and some of the covers are fantastic. Some of them, like the band did the best they could with what they were given, but like the styles just don't mesh. But some of them are awesome. And I'm just going through them again and again and again. Love it. It's Musora is the channel. Musora Covers. And I'm loving it. So, yeah. You can see I've watched a ton of these.
Drumeo, they have like a piano version where they do all the piano covers.
I've seen those.
Those are good. Yep. And then there's something called Like a Version, which is good. It's not, they don't do a live version like this, but it is people coming and doing different versions of songs like that they made up.
Yeah.
Which I like quite a bit.
This is one of my favorites. This one, if you watch this one. I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get copy struck or anything, but this one I think it's one of their most popular ones too. No, well, this one's 9.5 million, so never mind. Yeah. The Adele one, I thought they did the best they could with it, but I just thought that that didn't mesh very well. Anyway. Yeah, speaking of my YouTube history. Fun. What do we got? We're coming, what is it? It's 14:36. Okay, we got a little more time. Hey JB, I have a drone motor that smoked and had the coils burn. I tested continuity with the AIO. I have continuity on a motor pad. The board was healthy and I'm not sure why this happened. I put one lead of the multimeter on the positive pad and the negative to the motor pads, and I desoldered the motor. So the motor's desoldered, and you're testing continuity between the positive pad and the motor pad, and you're getting continuity. So what that means is the FET has failed, and the FET has failed short. And so basically, as soon as you plug in the battery, full battery voltage flows and current flows through that motor and fries it. There you go. So you've got a failed FET. The board was healthy. I'm not sure why that happened. Oh, I don't know. I mean, sometimes FETs fail. Sometimes ESCs fail. I didn't see any shorts. No, it shorted when you went to fly it. There were no shorts when you were putting it together. As soon as you like armed and it actually started to do its work, it failed. It would be how I would read it. I mean, I don't know why it failed. Sometimes ESCs fail. Sometimes FETs fail. Like, I'm not sure there's like anything we could point to. If you crashed and like spiked the motors or something, that could cause it. But also sometimes shit just randomly fails. I'm going to assume you didn't like have any bridged pads. It's possible the motor had a defect and the motor, but then I would think the motor would smoke and the ESC would probably be okay, but it's hard to say. But like so often in FPV, hardware fails and you can't really like point any rhyme or reason to it. Manuel asks, I'm sorry, I don't have any more to say. Like, this. Yeah. I think one motor wire came off and I resoldered it and then it smoked the next flight. Like, why did the motor wire come off? This is the question. Are you just bad at soldering? No offense. If a motor wire randomly came off, that in and of itself is unusual and points to some problem that may give us an idea of why the FET failed. Either you're bad at soldering and your other solder joints were probably also bad and that's probably why the FET failed, or you had some kind of high resistance situation that heated the pad up enough that it desoldered the wire, which again is a problem in and of itself. And like, yeah, you got something going on for sure. All right. Manuel asks, I got a Radiomaster Pocket. It's not being recognized by my flight simulator. Is there some setup that needs to be done? All you have to do is plug it in and choose USB joystick on the radio. And at that point, it should work as a joystick. What you can do is, if you're assuming you're on Windows, which I don't have a Mac, so I can't demonstrate to you. In Windows, you can go to the Set Up USB Game Controllers. And there you should see any game controllers that Windows recognizes. So if I take my GX12 right now and I plug it in, hold on, I got to power it up first. I plug in my GX12 and I choose USB joystick. USB joystick. When I do that, boom, there it is. Radiomaster GX12 joystick, right? So if you don't see that, then your radio isn't being picked up as a joystick by Windows, and that's why your flight sim isn't seeing it. If you do see that, then it's some issue with your flight sim software, but Windows is seeing it as a joystick. And if you don't have Windows, there's a similar dialog box on macOS, I assume, but I don't know how to show you where it is. You could be using a power-only USB cable, in which case that would explain why the data isn't getting through. Use a different USB cable. Some USB cables are only for charging your phone. They don't actually pass data. Jason K says, I'm brand new to the hobby. I have your F4 board. Wow, that is old. That's a blast from the past. I lifted the 5-volt pad off the board. Can I solder it to the 5-volt pad on the bottom of the flight controller? Sure. 5 volts is 5 volts, mostly. So, yeah, absolutely. You can do that. Gadget RC says, JB, I have a 12-year-old nephew who's interested in FPV. His parents support it, but they don't own a computer. Any advice on how to overcome problems starting FPV, but on mobile devices only? Gadget, you could do a lot with mobile devices. You can do Betaflight configuration. Betaflight configurator is available as a APK. You can download. I think it's even in the App Store now. You can just download it as an official app. There are definitely some things that are difficult or impossible to do, like flashing ESCs. I'm not sure you can flash some ESCs, if any, without a Windows or Mac machine. So my advice, and you're going to run into more and more things that require a PC in the world of FPV. If you're mobile only, you can do 75 to 90% of things, but there's going to be some percent of things you simply can't do without a PC. So my advice would be the cheapest PC you can get, even something in the $300 or $400 range, will be okay and will do almost everything you need it to do. My advice would be to get the cheapest PC you can get that runs and use that. But if you absolutely don't have one, do your best, but you are going to run into things that you simply can't do without a PC. Q missed a super chat, Blunty. What's the super chat? Thank you. Here's a super chat from Humble Mumble. Hold on, I'm going to tag your chat, Blunty. There we go. Here's a super chat from Humble Mumble. Thank you for $5 Australian. Sorry, Blunty, my chat window crashed. It does that every so often. It crashes and says out of memory or something, and I have to reload the page, and the chat must have come in right as I did that. Humble Mumble, thank you for $5 Australian. A 2-inch 20-amp JHMCU AIO. 1106 6500 kV on 3S. On a power loop, it lost power, then resets. Does that mean my ESC can't handle the motors? No, I don't think that's what it means. I don't know what it does mean, but I don't think that's what it means. If the ESC couldn't handle the motors, basically just the ESC would get super hot. But what you're describing is that either it lost power entirely or just the flight controller lost power, likely because the 5-volt regulator browned out. Long story short, it shouldn't do that. That's pretty weird. I would want to try and figure out if it consistently does that on high throttle, or if it is related to movement or positioning of the drone. So I've had drones where they lost power and it turned out that the XT60 was slightly loose. And when I did a particular move, the XT60 would come disconnected. I've had other cases where it's at high throttle even when the drone's not moving. So I would try and characterize the problem. If it's consistently happening on high throttle, even when you're not doing flips or rolls, then it could be related to the voltage, sag, or current draw. But like the voltage would have to sag really low, right? It's on 3S for a 5-volt regulator. So the flight controller usually runs off the 5-volt regulator. For that to actually brown out, you would have to sag so low that like you would see that in the OSD, the voltage would just sag. It would take a lot of work to sag a 3S battery down to like 6 or 7 volts. I just don't think it's likely that's happening. It could be voltage spikes. So if you like jerk the sticks around, does it happen? But I would try to characterize what causes it to happen, and that will help point you to the problem. Yeah, Blinty.
Can I ask, what does lost power mean? Can you tell us exactly what that actually means? Like, did the drone shut off, or did you just fall out of the air? Did you lose video?
Good question.
Did you lose OSD? The reason I ask is because what Crom mentions is, what if there's thermal limits on the ESC? So, like, the thermal limit is set on the ESC in the ESC firmware. The motor shut off when you did the power loop, and then it just fell out of the air.
Yeah.
So
if there's a thermal limit on the ESC, then the ESC would stop working. It would like go into limp mode, but the video transmitter and camera would keep working. If, on the other hand, the feed went to static, the video transmitter lost power, everything lost power, and then everything came back, that tends to point more towards like a connection issue, like a loose wire or a loose plug. Because like if the flight controller browns out, you'll see the OSD like go black and maybe the camera go black, but I don't think you'll usually see the video transmitter power down. So yeah, the question is, what actually powered down when it like reset? Specifically, what happened? Blunty, do we have a super chat from Dannon? Hang on, let's double check. Yeah, we do. Dannon, you're queued up. You're queued up. Let's get some super chats. We are getting towards the end of the stream. Let's make sure we're caught up on the super chats. Danny Drone. Thank you for another 100 ARS. I haven't seen you test the Pavo 2.0 Pro, which a lot of people have these days. I'm not talking about the 2S Pavo 2. I meant the Pavo 2.0 Pro 3S. I think it could make a good review. Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to review it. The Pavos have been pretty good. Did I review the Pavo 2.0 Pro? I can't remember. It all blurs together to me. No. I have the Pavo Pico. Nope. No, sir. Oh, I see. The Pavo 2.0 Pro is much more similar. Ah, interesting. Oh, that's a bigger deal.
You're on, what screen are you on?
Oh, I'm zoomed in. That's all. I'm just zoomed in.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan and FPV also reiterates he was referring to the 2. Well, I haven't reviewed the 2.0 Pro versus the 2.5 Pro. I can't really comment on that because I haven't reviewed either of them. And then Danny Drone also, again, thank you for another super chat, wants to see a review of the Pavo 2. So that's just up to Beta FPV if they want to send those to me for a review. What do you think of the Axis Flying Bando 5 frame? Asks Screamsaver. Thank you for €5. Let's see what I think of it. The Bando. I'm going to expect it to be durable. Blunty, have I reviewed this previously on the live stream chats? I feel like I've seen this.
I don't know. I don't necessarily remember that one.
No? Okay. We'll just look at it. I immediately am turned off by plastic side plates. I don't think they have a lot of advantage. They just get in the way when you're trying to do repairs. But not everybody feels that way, so I'll shut up.
I mean, it is a Bando frame, though, right?
What does a plastic side plate do for when you're in a Bando?
That's what I mean. It's like going to be opposite of what you want when you're slamming around a Bando, I would think.
It's just going to break. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah, it's just going to break, and then I'm going to rip it off and throw it away and never think about it again. So, cool. It looks good in pictures. That's my opinion.
Are there standoffs on the back?
I kind of can't tell what's going on here. Well, we got screws here, so presumably there's standoffs there. It's a little hard to make out what's going on. Oh, is it holding the VTX on? Is this metal? Wait. Is this metal all through here? That's interesting. Are there standoffs, or is this a metal subframe? Holy crap, that's interesting. I wish I could get a good god-dang picture of it. Full aluminum skeleton. Oh, okay. Intriguing. Okay. This is intriguing. Intriguing. Here's the thing. Aluminum, very light, can be strong. Once it bends, it's done. If I have a traditional screw and standoff structure and I crash and bend it, I just get a new screw and a new standoff and then I'm back in business. The question is this so durable that it's going to survive so many crashes that it makes up for the fact that once I bend it, it's absolutely toast and has to be completely replaced at significant expense?
Also, that means that the back, like if you did a butt tap, I mean, I guess maybe the arms would catch it, but...
Right.
Like there's nothing
the back
blocking
has
the
no
bottom of the
reinforcement whatsoever.
Yeah.
This is all marketing bullshit. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. You can't take anything from this. Everyone says, we tested the crap out of this. The pilots love it. And then it gets to the public, and maybe it's good and maybe it's not. There's no correlation between their claims of testing the shit out of it and the reality when the rubber hits the road. 7075 aluminum. Okay. I mean, it's still aluminum. It's hard for me to believe that this is going to be more survivable than a traditional screw and standoff construction. Even with screw and standoff construction, you go with aluminum front, which sort of makes sense. But those aluminum front plates, if you think about the leverage that's on them and what happens when they're stressed, a lot of times they don't bend, the screw gives out or the carbon gives out. And they're reusable. Like, I can't think of a time that I've crashed so hard that I bent my front plates, my aluminum front plates. I can think of times that I've cocked them to the side and I've had to redo some screws and stuff. It feels like this aluminum subframe, there's a lot of potential for it to bend or deform in a crash, at which point you're just done for the day. But if it's durable enough that you can beat the shit out of it repeatedly and it doesn't give out, the screws give out or the carbon gives out, and that's all replaceable. The main thing would be, and can I buy this aluminum subframe by itself? Can I? That's the other question. Bando 5 replacement parts. Hello? Yes, I can. Okay, that's good. Center aluminum part. Hello? Top plate. Why is the picture not updating? Where's the center aluminum part? Rear aluminum part. What?
I think it's saying there's 3 pieces that you screw together for the aluminum frame.
No, it's not one piece. That's actually better. I'm happier to hear that. Because if something bends, you just replace the part that bent. How much is the replacement? $15 for the front aluminum part, rear aluminum part, $15, center aluminum part, $13. So $45 for the aluminum parts. The other thing is, if I'm going to have to buy spares, right? So I'm going to have to now spend another $45 on spares. Whereas
people
screws
are asking about the frame. Frame is $78, just so people know.
We'll just buy a whole new frame. Yeah, screws and standoffs are cheap to replace. What's the weight of this frame all? Let's see. Bando 5 SE Power System. Power Combo Series. Where's the frame alone? Hold on, go back. That is a... 6-inch analog. Well, I could do the all-up weight of the whole drone, maybe? Weight. Oh, that's a reasonable weight. 459 grams for the analog. That's reasonable. There's another 200 for the battery, 659. So it's under 700 grams without a GoPro. And then the GoPro would add 150 grams. So say 450, 650, or 660, 760. Nah, you're around the low 800s with a GoPro. That's not spectacular, but it's not terrible either. I mean, you would, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it compared to the traditional way that we've always built them with standoffs, which is very maintainable. I wonder if it's one of those improvements for improvement's sake. And like, I hate to be that guy who always shits on, I mean, I don't hate to be that guy because I am that guy. But I see new ideas and my first impulse is like, why is this better than what we have now? And sometimes it is better, but also sometimes it's just sort of different and will sell more. And sometimes the way that we did it was better. I mean, I feel like easy maintainability is a major thing with FPV drones. As soon as you get into milled aluminum pieces, suddenly now, number one, you have to have those exact pieces. Whereas if you've got just screws and standoffs, those are just generic pieces you can get from anywhere, and they're easy to maintain and easy to replace. This is going to have more rigidity, probably, than screws and standoffs. So I think there's some ways in which it will be more survivable, but I think it just depends how hard you crash and how easy you want it to be to fix your stuff. Interesting, though. It's very interesting. All right, continuing the super chats. Thank you for pointing that out, Screamsaver. That was interesting. I hadn't seen that. Hey, Joshua, do you know about any cheap goggles with diopters, analog or digital? I'm nearsighted, -4. Most analog goggles these days have built-in diopters adjustment. The question is, what do you mean by cheap? The very cheapest box goggles won't have any diopter adjustment. You have to be in something like the SkyZone O2C or O2O, and you're in the $300 or $400 range. I don't know if you consider that to be cheap, but any binocular style FPV goggle you get, in other words, not a box goggle, these days almost all of them will have diopter adjustment, but they're not cheap. So, Humble Mumble, thank you for $5 Australian. On the power loop, I lost video. Oh, going back to the drone reset. On the power loop, I lost video and ELRS telemetry. Okay, so the whole drone lost power. The whole drone lost power, and when he came back, the Vista was not powered up. So if the entire drone lost power, like, the thing is, the video transmitter is usually powered from VBAT, not always. If the video transmitter is powered from VBAT, then even if the flight controller completely shuts off, the video transmitter should stay powered on. So assuming the video transmitter was powered from VBAT, which it may not have been. If it was powered from a voltage regulator, the story changes. Assuming the video transmitter is powered from VBAT, if it turned off, I would assume that you physically lost power, like something came unplugged or disconnected. If the video transmitter and the receiver were powered from a voltage regulator, it could just be that the flight controller browned out. But again, it's hard to imagine how that would happen, because the 3S voltage would have to go really low to brown out like a 9-volt regulator. So,
I'd also just for clarification, it can be on the VBAT with a pit switch, and if that was
That's
the case,
true.
it would also have failed.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have a switch that can turn on and off your VTX, that would also mean FC dying, means your VTX dies.
Yeah. All right, we got another one, so we can't end the stream yet. We got another super chat here from Danny Drone. Could placing the ELRS antennas of a diversity module near the O4 Pro antennas cause interference? Yes, but not really. Not in any meaningful way, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's seldom an issue. That's what I'd say. If you're trying to go the longest of longest ranges, it might make a small difference.
I just wouldn't, don't tie them to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if
I wouldn't get them that close.
I've had a lot of drones where the receiver antennas are off the back and the VTX antennas off the back, and it's not an issue. Okay. Okay. That's going to do it. Oh, man. If only I had talked about how FPV was in the older days, or watches, or someone had said their drone was flipping out. I would have a bingo. But I don't, and I'm not going to manipulate my power as the streamer to just give myself one of those. I'm not going to do it. I have too much moral scruples, integrity. Poulettes, did you ask a watch question? Did you ask a watch question for real? Blunty, how do we miss a watch question? No, I don't see it. Oh. ESP32 smartwatch HMI development module. What kind of project would this be useful for in the field? Would I make a video about this? Would I make a video about this? It's interesting. What would you do with this in the field? Supports Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. How could you use this for beta flight? Like a tiny little display like this. It's not that tiny, honestly. I'm trying to think how you would use this for beta flight. I don't know. I mean, it has Wi-Fi. You could theoretically connect to your flight controller and read stats from it or something. Yeah. I don't know. I probably wouldn't make a video about it unless I could think of some usage. But I did talk about watches. Bingo! All right. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.